Hey everybody, welcome to Eating Peace. It's bright early Saturday morning. Actually, I shouldn't say bright. The light is shining and it's very foggy. It's been sunny, brilliant, golden afternoons and really chilly early morning on a Saturday. And I'm sitting out on my front porch because there's a lot of activity going on in my house, my little cottage. And I'm teaching a retreat for 5 days right now that ends tomorrow. But we have the full day today and all of tomorrow morning, and the most magnificent work being done by people gathered together to do the work. Now, this retreat that's been going on isn't the Eating Peace retreat, but it's still just sitting in inquiry and noticing the questions, the power of the questions. Is it true what we're believing? How do I react when I think this is true? And the amazing question, who would you be without your story? Who would you be without the thought? And being able to spend time there, because it's tricky. We've been thinking another different way. So it's like, who would you be without your belief, without your story? So here we are, considering Eating Peace, my favorite. Lack of compulsion, the pain of craving, the desperation of craving, having something be off balance. And I was thinking about eating itself. In retreat yesterday, it just came to me, the actual act of eating is like a bid for life. It's saying, we have to eat to live. Eating is such a fascinating thing, really. Step out of it and if you take a bird's eye view way back, kind of a consciousness view perspective without just being down in the trenches on the ground, but looking at what eating is. It's like you have this organic body and you have to find something that you can chew up and masticate and churn up so that it can become part of your body. And there's taste involved and the actual chewing, and we have teeth, but you have to find, there's a whole bunch of things you can't eat. I can't really eat the grass. Suppose it wouldn't kill me. There's a tree here. There's a fence in the yard. There's all kinds of things. There's cars. None of these would give me life, although there are many plants that are possible to eat. We all know that. And there's all kinds of things about plants and not plants and man-made and chemicals and all kinds of stuff. We all know about all that. But the interesting thing is just kind of coming down to the root that there's this eating that's involved with life, the life force. And we want to eat. And it just occurred to me when I used to binge, I wanted to grab life so badly. I was smashing down some of my feelings and my trauma and my memories and my difficulty. What I noticed sitting with a circle of people who are really deeply interested in inquiry and wondering about the parts of themselves that they've pushed away or what they've believed for a long time that they've kind of put in the files, in the memory files. Trauma, difficult experiences, sadness, feeling like they lost something or were betrayed. And there's this sense of wanting to not think about it anymore. Like, don't we all have a part of us that is actually brilliant that says, let's just move on. Let's just get over it. Why don't we have to go? We don't have to go look and see what happened when I was 14. I went on a diet with my mother. We were sort of on this diet thing. It's the first time I cut something really strongly out of my life, no sugar ever. And then what happened from that point forward with the care and attention becoming more refined and more acute and more intense about food and eating and losing freedom, losing a lot of freedom, at least for me, that was my experience. But just watching how it unfolded and what was going on there. Why do we need to go back and look at that? Just get over it, move on. And the thing is, if it was easy to do that, we would we not? If it was easy to move on. And I look at from that point forward, becoming more and more obsessed with food for a while. And then the binges and that binge eating, just thinking about what eating is, that it was like this incredible desire to live fully as a human. I just wanted to not suppress anything, not my feelings or my sense of joy about being here temporarily in the world. We have a temporary life here, only for a brief period of time. I'm just wanting to explore and touch and taste all the foods of the world, be here. Uh, some of that's possible, some of it isn't. You know, being myself, regular human being, without a lot of rules and regulations and ideas about what I needed to do to fix and improve and sort out and make sure I didn't do it wrong, which of course came in. This was building all at that same time of being an adolescent and teenager and learning regulation and control and management and um, you know gut urges and working with feelings all were happening at that same time. It's interesting that dieting was happening at that same time for me. But this urge for life, just then seeing this flip-flop of incredible desire for freedom, and of course the magnificent, horrible pain of having a desire, an urge to take the lid off of all the control and have that hurt, have that become something that we have, a binge feels so incredibly bad when you're at the end of it. Maybe the first bites are just like freedom, but into it, it's not what you really want. I mean, eating is made, there's also a limit. There's a built-in limit in the body for a sense of fullness. And now you're done, and you have enough fuel to go another day, to go a few more hours. It's kind of the way of it. It's like we don't really know how much time we have here on planet Earth. Nobody knows. It's all a surprise. It's a big, open question. We just know it's going to be done at some point. It'll be over, and there will no longer be eating. So, at the deepest form, like a practice, don't I want to become comfortable with this thing of being human and having a body that apparently needs food? This eating thing, I wanted it to be in balance. I wanted to be able to be free and to not have it take a place that was so wildly, wildly over the top. I heard somebody say not long ago, disorderly. Like we say, eating disorder. Order is such a mental thing, right? We say eating disorder, as if there's an order, in little straight lines. And then we go out of order. You're being disorderly. And I can see at the time that I had a lot of other rules about being alive as a teenager, of what I should not do and who should not be doing other things. And I experienced the agony of watching even adult humans that I admired and cared about deeply operating in ways that were really uncomfortable or painful or produced suffering or made suffering for others even, seemed to contribute to it. And it's like, wow, these adults do not know what they're doing or what's going on. And the adults around me that I cared about so much, also not knowing often what to do with food and with this intake, with really the life force, with their life, with noticing we get a little fueled and we move on, then there's a next thing, and we fuel ourselves and move on. And for the most part, we do that several times a day with eating. It's like this symbol of refueling and then carrying on, carrying forward. So I could just see at the time the parallel for me. And you can ask yourself this question: am I suppressing something and not kind of finding myself in the balance, being a human? Is there something I'm smashing away or putting down or saying I should not do? I certainly was doing that when I was controlling and dieting and being in my first diet. You know, not allowed, don't go there. And it kind of enhanced the difference between it all for me, the distinction. So today, just watching that, watching what's out of balance, noticing the sense of joy about eating and that there's a beginning and middle and end of any kind of meal or any kind of taking in the world, taking in life, and then a continuation, and we get to repeat it all over again. And we can bring joy to it. What if it's our last day? What if this is your last week? Would you want to be concerned about what you're going to eat tonight for dinner, or maybe tomorrow night for dinner? I personally wouldn't. I don't want that kind of thing to be filling my mind. But if it is, I want to sit with it with compassion and kindness and wonder, what is it that's making me feel something must be controlled here and managed? Some kind of fear, some kind of energy that's wildly out of control that needs to have a lid put on it or put it in a cage. Somebody else also shared with me, in the little Facebook group, that the time of day that she feels like eating is like late afternoon, and it feels like a beast is coming out and being unleashed. What an interesting, wonderful word to describe the sense of compulsion, and to really sit with it instead of like just watching what that is. And it doesn't mean you need to follow it or do what it says, because that's ridiculous. It doesn't work. But not making it such a monster that it's controlling your entire life. So I found, to bring this to a close here, that when I began to study what else was pushed away and pressed aside and suppressed and locked away, those things that I preferred to pretend they didn't exist, when I brought those out into the open in a community of people and friends and support, and found out that being human with these experiences or with this pain or suffering was okay, the urge to eat and grab for life began to relax entirely. It just wasn't there anymore. There was no compulsion. There was no need to control a thing. And that is from somebody who had intense desire to binge. So it is a flow like a wave. It is in motion. It is in action. It is not something, for me, at least in my experience, and some others that I've spoken with too, that is like absolute. If you are this binge eating person, that means you need to be concerned with that for the rest of your life. No. It means you need to be wondering about what's happening, about your attitudes about life and death and the temporariness of life and what's threatened you in your lifetime. What feels scary about being only here? This is the only day you've got. Today, this present moment now. What's alarming about that? And can I bring peace to this moment, to this day, no matter what happens? No matter what happens. And it is in a balance to take just what you need for fuel, to take just what's required for the energy that address any situation, to be in balance with anything that happens, conversations, communication, what goes down, balance with any of it, feeling your feelings, being here, dancing and moving with it, in just the right amount, not over the top, not under restriction, no need to control, just being with the way of it, just being with the way of it, the way of life, letting life have you. All right. Eating Peace Retreat, we get to practice this together. It's in January. A little bit of an odd time, but it's just at the beginning of the new year. January 9th to 14th, if I remember correctly. But we start on a Wednesday night and end on a Monday morning. So we have lots of time together, and it's an immersion, eating together, being together, relaxing, noticing, being with the other things that have disturbed us with self-inquiry. So just remembering those 4 questions. And here we come with those who will work together online starting next month. All right. So lots of love, everybody. Take care. You are safe today. Peace is possible today, right now. It's possible. Relax. Watch. Let me know how it goes.